Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining me today for Worth It. I am your host, LaQuanda McCoullum, and today we have a show for you. It's a very sensitive topic, but we're discussing this topic because we want to see people healed. And our very special guest today, Win Coach Barry Devine, one of his favorite acronyms, and he has many, is he wants people to be whole, healed, and transformed. And that's what we want to see happen on the show. But before we get into the show today, we're going to start this show off today the same way we start each and every show, and that is with our word of the week. And this week's word is stop playing the victim. And you know what? This is a hard word and a hard pill to swallow because it is one that I had to on my own. Because what is a victim? I looked it up. Webster helped me. And it said that a victim is a person who was harmed, injured, or killed by a crime. So playing the victim is easy, right? It comes easy because something did happen to you. Somebody did do it. That situation did occur and it hurt, right? So it's easy to play the victim because it's true. Playing the victim is justifiable. And you get to do that. But we do, as victims, when things have happened to us, we do have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to heal. We have to heal because whatever we were a victim of, we don't want that thing to control us for the rest of our lives. And if it does, we will not be able to live the life that God always intended for us. Those dreams will never come true. Those goals, those things that you always wanted to accomplish will never happen because you will be holding on to all the things that happened to you in the past. Now, I saw this thing that I saw online. I'm going to look it up on my phone. My producer is going to kill me. But this phone here is a modern day cue card. That you heard that here first. Okay? Blame it. These are signs that you're playing a victim. Blaming others for your feelings or situations, believing that the world or life is out to get you, viewing things as a personal attack or insult, believing you deserve special treatment, using your struggles to justify toxic behavior. Here we go with that word justify again. Doing nothing to improve your situation in life. Victim will have you staying stuck in places longer than in what you originally intended. You know, thinking, attempting to one up other experiences, bad experiences, blowing problems out of proportion, holding grudges, thinking you're special, believing nothing is ever your fault. I'm going to stop right there. Because, baby, playing the victim will have you blaming every single body else, and you're never taking responsibility. So stop playing the victim. You have to do it. Your life, your happiness, your heart, your relationships, your children is thriving on you moving on to see what all the great things that God has for you. So just wanted to encourage you with that, and I hope it was helpful. But now we're going to get into the part of our show where we share the good news. Testify. Testify.
Listen. You know Trevor gonna kill me. I know Trevor gonna kill me. Come on, Fantasia. Because I dropped out of school and I gave up what I did. No, yeah. I'm going back to get everything the devil said I could have. Come on. I know that they're gonna help me. I got people who said they were too.
Woo! Let me tell you something. Fantasia in this testimony has sent me, okay? Did y'all hear her? She said she dropped out of school in 9th grade, right? And she was going back to college because she said she was going to get everything that the devil said that she couldn't have. So Fantasia, we thank you for sharing your good news. And if you want to share your good news, share your testimony with us here on Worth It, please email us at submit@worthitTV.com. We would love to share your testimony with the world. We know the Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. So we will be right back with our Win Coach Barry Devine right after this commercial break.
So what is the one thing that if you didn't have it, you could potentially lose every asset you ever had or not pursue everything you felt you deserved? Your worth and value. Hi, I'm LaQuanda McCoullum, worth advocate, author, and host of the Worth It TV Empowerment Series. And guess what? I am so grateful to introduce you to the Worth It Academy. part of my life purpose is to speak to people in a worthless space and to inspire and empower them to live like they are worth it. Why? Because I know firsthand what it feels like to lose absolutely everything because I didn't understand the investment God made when He made me. And I also know what it feels like to not pursue things because I didn't feel I deserve it. But I also know what it feels like to reclaim my worth and to get up and go get everything that God said was mine. And I want to share those tools with you inside of the Worth It Academy because your dreams are worth it. And I know that once you rediscover your worth, you will be positioned to get up and go get everything that belongs to you. Join us today inside of the Worth It Academy.
So thank you and welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. And again, I told you today that I have a very special guest, Win Coach Barry Devine. He is a coach, basketball and life coach. He's a father, husband, and he also is an author, right? So we're going to dive into this topic today with a very special excerpt from his book. He's going to read that for us. And right after that, we'll talk to the man himself.
Before now, I'd only shared this in intimate settings where I was either speaking to youth and young adults, sharing in counseling sessions, or such. Me being molested by my babysitter when I was a young boy impacted my decisions, my behaviors, and my lack of respect for women for years. My teenage babysitter would leave her house, come to our house 2 doors down to watch me and my brother while my parents were out. One night while we were watching television on the floor, my babysitter reached her hand under my covers and fondled me. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't say anything. A week later, when I was told to go to their house after school until my mom got home, this same babysitter fondled me again. But this time she cornered me in her room and aroused me to the place of erection, got on top of me until she was pleasured or finished. What do I know? This continued several times during our babysitting sessions in that particular house. One time, my babysitter's younger sister, who was also a teenager, she took it upon herself to have her way with me as well. Me being a naive 8-year-old, I always considered that just secret playtime activity. Not until I was headed to college did I realize the impact this made on my life and the perspective on how to treat women, particularly what women really wanted.
So
Deep.
I guess people kind of get an idea of what we're going to talk about today. I have to start with this though,
Okay.
because you were my pastor.
I was.
And are you pastoring now still?
I am pastoring. It's called the Win Center, as a matter
The
of fact.
Win Center. Okay. So you had stopped pastoring for a while.
For a while.
So for a while, I didn't know what to call. I didn't know what to call. I could not dare call him his first name, as I am not going to do that today either.
She's always been so respectful. But I
Yeah.
get that.
But so I'm going to call him Win Coach.
There we go.
Coach
Barry.
Barry.
Is
Coach
fine.
Barry.
Yeah.
So as you can see, what we're talking about today is healing from molestation. And this topic is so important because more people have dealt and have experienced molestation than we even could have record of, because people do not want to confront the idea that this happened to them. Nowadays, we hear more women speaking up about it.
Mhm.
We don't hear as many men speaking up about it, although it happens to them all the time too. So I do appreciate you coming on today and sharing your experience with the idea from your acronym. And I announced it and I said at the top of the show, because we want to see people whole, healed, and transformed. That's what, right?
What?
What?
Right.
One of his acronyms. Okay, he's an author. Okay. So if you don't mind, just in the excerpt that you read, you talked about your experience. How old were you?
I was 8 years old.
8 years
8
old.
years old, going from second grade to third grade.
Going from second grade to third grade at 8 years old.
And as an educator, it impacted me over time when I would work, when I was working in elementary school. Every time I look at second and third graders, boom, come back.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. So when it happened, how did you feel?
I didn't know what to feel. Again, like as I mentioned, I just thought it was play activity, really, sincerely. Even when I share it to this day, people think you didn't know. Not until I was out of high school in college did I really. You said something earlier. The word of the day was
Stop playing the victim.
stop playing the victim. Here's the thing. I didn't know I was a victim
That's
until
interesting.
later.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
just thought it was normal and that stuff just happens. And I'm honest with you. Not until I realized that you were victimized, Barry. No, this is not normal. This is why. And it happened in a conversation, wasn't even a session, conversation, and all of this was brought back out. It hit me, and the person told me, no, you were victimized. You were raped.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. No, that's not. Boys don't get raped.
Mm.
That was my thought. Boys don't get raped. I was not raped. That was the babysitter. And but then as I matured and learned and realized, no, you were victimized. You were raped. Later on, when I started talking about it and dealing with it, then I did what you started talking about, which is I played the victim. And I used it to my advantage, so to speak, against women, with women.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Before we get there, it was very interesting that what you said. You said boys don't get raped. Do you think is that like a common theme amongst men that doesn't happen to men?
Now it's not.
Okay.
At least in my experience. I'm 53. What am I? 53 now. Now, no. But when my early 20s, 30s for that matter, 20 years ago, at least in my circles around, I didn't know that. And if it was men being touched by other men. Because a man being touched by another woman in my circles was that was just you getting your manhood early.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
To the point to where I didn't even want to talk about it or even raise my hand and say that was me, because sit down, chef, ain't nothing happening to you. And I bought into that. And they were, as far as I was concerned, they were right. Not until I realized all of my relational dysfunctions as it pertains to how to respect and treat a woman, my wife included at the time, that I realized, Barry, you have some untapped into issues in the area of being molested. I had to be able to realize to say it too. You were molested, you were raped, you were violated. And it took me a long time to say that. To the point, I don't even want to say it now, but I'm on your show with my cup in my hand.
But no, that when you saying those words, it really pierced my soul. It really pierced my soul because they say do that in AA. You stand up and say what it is. And sometimes looking at your experiences, what has happened to you is very, very painful because nobody, especially bad things could sometimes make you feel like you deserve them or, that bad things would continue. How did you feel once you came to the knowledge of, hey, this happened to me? How did you feel about what happened to you?
That's a loaded question because I felt like, why did it take me first? Why did it take me so long to even think about it this way? But then the second thing was, a lot of things now make sense.
Sure.
It makes sense that I was not willing to tell a woman I love her until a certain time. It made sense that I thought, and all due respect, I thought that women just wanted to be pleasured and pleasure guys. So that was how I approached relationships. That you get on top of me, I get on top of you. And again, judge me if you will, all the way into college, that my thing was, it's just about sex because that's what was embedded in me. My mom, and I love her, after my mom divorced during that time, she was a single mom. So it was 2 jobs. So she didn't have an opportunity. The part that I don't tell, me and my brother had conversation years later, and the same thing happened to him. He didn't tell anybody. I was telling it to him, and he's like, Barry, man, she did the same thing, same woman, did the same thing. At different times, neither of us knew it for years.
For years.
And he said, "Why didn't you tell mommy?" I said, "Oh, I don't want to. Why didn't you tell mommy?" So neither one of us did. Not until later on in life did my mom even know.
No. So why do you think you didn't want to tell your mom?
I was ashamed.
You were ashamed. You were ashamed.
I was ashamed when I found out. And when I found out, it was okay to talk about it as an adult, a young adult. While it was going on, I didn't think to tell mom because it was a female. And again,
men are supposed to be
it's
strong.
supposed
It doesn't
to be.
like, and it's something like what you said. Men are supposed to do that.
I always wondered, because I could make it up, but the truth, I always wondered, would anybody have ever even believed me as a, I say, 12-year-old? If it took me 4 years to talk about it, would they even believe me? And I was probably trying to protect her because she was a family friend.
Right. So it was a lot of different components.
There's times I've looked in my mom's picture, but what do you call them?
Photo albums.
And she's in there.
Still.
Wow. To this day.
To this. Let me ask you a question, because I want to move on to how I want to dig a little bit deeper into how that impacted your relationships a little bit more. But before that, what would you tell a young person or a parent of a young person? I'll start with what would you tell somebody who had that experience? Then we'll move on to what kind of conversations a parent could have with their child to see, kind of get those conversations going.
I would say to them, find a trusted space and place to talk about it. You have to identify it and talk about it, and be brave enough to be ready to talk about it. And you're probably ready now if you're hearing this, whoever that person is. But find a safe place, not somebody that's going to take advantage of it, use it against you, and that's a whole nother story or a whole nother show. But find a person a safe place and space to talk about it.
Okay. Now I want to say this, and before we move on to, I would say, based upon what you said, men, if this happened to you, you were violated. Okay. You were molested, you were raped. It's not just the norm for men to have unconsensual sex at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, even 13 years old. If those things happen to you and you did not want them to happen, you have the right and you are okay to speak up about it. And like Win Coach Barry just said, find a trusted space. Talk to your parents. Let them know you're not bad. You don't have to be ashamed. It wasn't your fault that it happened. And those were all the things that I gathered from what you just said.
If you're a young adult, if you're an adult and you still haven't talked about it, talk to somebody about it even now.
Even now. Talk to somebody about even now. Why? And we'll get right into it now.
Because it's going to affect all of your other relationships you establish from here on out. And not just the relationship you're in, but future relationships that have nothing to do with husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. It's to respect your woman.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, because I know some other things come into play too, but how did this impact your respect toward, how did you treat women after that? And he's the right person for the job, for this job. So thank you. Thank you for your candidness and transparency. And we'll get right into that question right after this quick commercial break. Coach Barry is going to tell us how this impacted his relationship with women. We'll be right back after this.
I used to think a godly person looked like this, until I realized God looks like me. I am the image of God.
Okay, so welcome back. And when we left for commercial, we were going to talk to Coach Barry about how he treated women, how this impacted his relationships, and
How I treated women, to be honest with you. And I was never one of those playboy dog. One, I was height challenged,
that means he was a little short. Okay.
dark skin, and I
Well,
was in.
dark skin is in.
Well, it's in now, but I was in the era when Yellow Brothers was in.
Okay.
The only thing I had going for me, I was just a nice guy, and the women liked to talk to me, and they found me interesting. So I realized though early that I could use that as an in, and my mind was already shaped that
Wait, you can use that as an use what?
the fact that they would like to talk to me.
Okay.
I'm easy to
Okay.
talk to. Now
Okay.
that's my profession now. I know people are easy to talk. What I
Yeah.
mean, easy to talk to.
Okay.
But I use that as an in, and then while in, I had in my mind, Barry, it's not going to last long, and don't look for anything long lasting. They want to get on top of you. They want you on top of them,
Mm.
and then we leave it alone. To the point where I had a girlfriend in high school. I mean, real quick, and she would also always leave. And you think you've heard me say this. She would always get off the conversation on the phone and say, "I love you," and I would say, "All right," and we would hang up. And she would tell me sometimes, "Why don't you ever tell me you love me?" And I'll say, "Because I don't love you."
Ooh.
But that's the way my mind was, to be just that direct, because I was trained. She wants it, she gets it. I tell her what I want and what I don't want. I didn't know to play a game to tell her. So after a while, I would say, "You know what? I love you," even though I didn't love. So I then started developing that, okay, give them what I think they want and want to hear. I don't have to be genuine. I don't have to be sincere about it. And that became my nature. That's what I talk about. That's what I meant by how it dictated how I treated women. I gave them what I thought they would want and want to hear, and
Right.
not sincere with it at all. And if it meant they were hurt by it, oh well.
Mm. Mm. So this then it damaged relationships.
Big time. Big time.
It damaged
Big time.
relationships.
My first marriage, it damaged that because I took that even into that as well. I will say this as well. Every woman, this is why whoever's watching this, needs to get help.
Come on, talk to him.
Every woman, after I realized what happened, can I say her name, or I probably shouldn't say her name?
No,
Don't say her name. I'll call her Betty.
call her Betty.
Every
Dirty
woman,
Betty. Sorry, not Dirty Betty.
every
God forgive me.
woman was Betty in my mind. I was always looking for Betty. Here's the thing. I never really wanted to play the field and do it. I was always, and I'm sincere, I always wanted to be married,
Hmm.
but I didn't realize I was always measuring every woman up to Betty,
Wait, which one was Betty?
the one who got on top of me and just did her business.
Oh wow. Okay.
And literally, I was even looking for a girlfriend's name. And her name ain't really Betty. I don't want to say her real name. But I had 3 girlfriends named Betty, that other,
Mm.
because I
Wow.
was looking for Betty.
Because-
That didn't come out until a counseling session when the guy told me, he said, write down, and you know who he is, Dr. Whiteside. He said, write down every woman that you've ever had in your life. I don't think, what? So I read this list, and I was so shocked to see how many of them were Betty. So
Wow.
I was looking for Betty all my life, but I wanted
They
to.
call that a trauma bond.
I wanted to marry Betty. So every time I proposed 4 times in my life.
Wow. That's a lot of proposing.
Too many proposals.
Okay, I'm gonna laugh. It's gonna laugh right here. It's not supposed to be funny, but
I was looking for Betty.
You were looking for Betty.
I was looking for Betty. So fast forward to me getting healed. And here's the problem. Here's the thing. I'm still being healed every day
Okay.
because transparency. There's times when I feel like I ask myself, Barry, are you even now still looking for Betty, but for a different reason?
Mm.
There's part of me that's telling myself, I want to see her and look her in her face. I want her to see me.
Mm-hmm.
And like many of I've counseled in this area, because many of them have said the same thing, and it hit me that I remember one couple was leaving, and I said, man, I just want to ask her why.
Mm.
I always thought that was so lame. Why? Just move on with your life. I was that guy. Move on with your life. It's over now. But then, as I got older, you want to ask her why too.
Mm.
I don't know if it's healthy or not. I would like to believe it's healthy, but
Yeah.
part of my healing was embracing the fact that it happened. I'm better. I made mistakes. I've corrected those mistakes. I'm helping other people navigate those challenges they may have had, and
Because
identify
that,
'em,
yeah. Hmm.
because I'm better and stronger. But you're always being healed, particularly in this area.
Right. They even say that. I think I just in AA. I've never been there. Okay, but I saw the movies and I read books, and they say it's one day at a time.
It is.
And I feel like that kind of idea is synonymous with all levels of healing, because there's times when the things that we've experienced, we're human beings. We don't forget.
Right.
As much as we want to say we do, but those thoughts come back, and then we have to remind ourselves, hey, you're healed from that. That no longer controls you.
There's another acronym that we would always use. We actually put a song together. You're a part of that. Was HELP, which is
Heal everything, Lord, please. Right?
Not just heal that, because that is affecting this, that's affecting this, and that was what happened to me. It was affecting how I looked at women, not just my wife. And then when I started having daughters, okay, heal everything now.
Heal
Lord.
everything.
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 Lord. I need everything healed. That's why I say to some of you, you need to get help, because you're going to have to address it, because it's going to, once you're healed in that area, you're going to see almost miraculously, it's going to heal everything else.
And I want to say this because we have to wrap up. This was great. It was a great transparent conversation. But any man out there, just gathering from what you're saying as we close, I want to say your masculinity does not heal you. So you just can't say to yourself, I'm getting over this because I'm a man. Right. Your masculinity can't do it. What does do it, based upon what Coach Barry has said, is you addressing and confronting, hey, I was this did happen to me, and now I'm going to go get help because I need everything to be healed because number one, I want to live a healthier life. I don't want that impacting my relationships, my kids, all of the above. So give us our last words and we're going to move on.
You introduced me as a Win Coach. WIN stands for walking in newness. And that's what I now do. I coach people into walking in newness of life and embracing what's next to them.
Okay, great. And then we'll be back. You'll come back on another show. On our next show. But wait a minute. Before we go, I like to get into this segment that I like to call Is It Worth It? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Producer, can you bring up the first? Oh, I was almost forgetting, but she's on it and I'm not. So grab your sign, please.
Okay,
you have one.
Right.
And when we bring up our thing, we're going to identify, is it worth it? If it's worth it, we're going to say it's worth it.
Okay.
If it's not worth it, we're going to say it ain't worth it.
Okay.
It ain't worth it.
Sounds good.
Right?
I always wanted to do this.
Okay, good. Good job. Now put it down.
Gotcha.
We don't know what it's going to be
Okay.
yet.
Got it.
Keep pre-hoping it's worth it.
Okay.
Okay, producer, can you bring that up? Moving the cones from the parking space someone shoveled out after it snowed because you got home late from work and you don't feel like shoveling one out. Is it worth it?
It's worth it.
Is it not worth it? He's trying to get it.
Tune into Worth It with host LaQuanda McCoullum on the Daily Gospel Network, the TV show designed to entertain, inspire, and empower women to live in their worth. Ladies, this is your opportunity to tap into your full potential and conquer the world. Join us each week as we explore ways to live your best life. Catch Worth It every week on the Daily Gospel Network with host LaQuanda McCoullum.